All right, this is my review of Passion of the Christ. You know, this movie, I remember being a kid and like not being able to see this movie. I remember everyone talking about this movie as a kid. Every Easter, people talking about it. I remember when it came out, everyone was talking about it. Actually, I don't know if I remember when it came out. I gotta look up when did it come out. Hey Google, when did Passion of the Christ release?
In the United States of America, The Passion of the Christ came out on February 25th, 2004.
Okay, all right, so I was 11. I was born in 1996. I was very little when it came out. Wasn't even 10 years old. But the point is, I remember like watching pieces of this movie when I was young, and my parents not letting me see certain portions of it, but then also seeing a little bit of the portions I was not supposed to see. And then when I got a little bit older, I kept hearing people talk about this movie, and then most of the conversations that I've heard was some people love it, some people don't love it, and then also some of the conversation revolving around this movie is, it's basically like the whole film he's being tortured. That's from what I've heard, and from what I can remember as well. And now as an adult, I said I'm gonna go back and watch it. Let me just check it out and see if there's anything here. Yeah, so this movie is just a lot. It's not even a lot. It's a lot, but it's just like, here's the thing. I grew up in church. I grew up around a lot. I grew up going to Sunday school, Tuesday school, Monday school. I grew up in a lot of church, which is why now as an adult I don't really go to church. This Shorty brought me to church and it was nice. We went like a few weeks ago. I'll go. I have no problem with it, but I gotta like feel the spirit. I just gotta go. You know what I mean? Like if I want to go, I don't want to feel like I have to go, because my whole life growing up, I have to go. You have to go. Like that was it. There was no choice. And then every New Year's I spent in church. I didn't get to go to New Year's parties in high school and stuff, because every New Year's in church, like all church, and my church services was like 9 hours. So I was like so churched out. So by the time I was an adult, I'm not really seeking church. But what I will say is I would like to be more spiritual in my life, But anyways, off that tangent, let's talk about the movie. The movie itself, is it good? It's well made, but I think there's so much more of a story you can tell besides what this movie shows. And I think that when this movie started, when I was watching, I said, wow, this is such a good movie. Like the way it's made, it looks so good. It's well made. You could tell Mel Gibson did a great job directing it. But then I said, let me just pause the movie for one moment. I'm curious because the main character is getting beaten. Jesus is getting beaten from the beginning of the movie. So I'm curious. This is like, I think this is like when they just put the nail in him for the crucifixion. So I'll press pause. So let me press pause. I'm pretty sure it said 1 hour and 38 minutes. And I had like 20 minutes left. I'm like, why did you make it this long of one thing? So here's the thing. What I've learned as far as watching movies and from talking to people is that when you watch a movie, when you watch a scene, if a scene is telling you the same information the last scene just told you, then it's a wasted scene. This film is like one scene. It's like the same information they're giving us from beginning of the movie to the end. And I think that is my issue with the movie. The movie itself, if you watch the movie, you can tell it's well made, it's directed well. Mel Gibson is a great director, but as far as the story you're trying to put across, it's not really, it's effective if you want people to feel okay. You want people to feel bad, you want people to feel however you want them to feel. You want them to feel the visceral sacrifice that Jesus made. You surpassed on that point. But the point is, as far as a movie goes, like when I was watching this movie, when I clicked the button, when I clicked pause and it was 1 hour and 38 minutes and Jesus was still getting beat, I'm like, while he's finally getting crucified. I'm like, at that point, I'm like, I can't believe this was in a movie theater. Because if I went to the movies to see this, I don't know if I would stay in the movie. You know, I'm sure people left the theater, I'm sure. But the point that I'm trying to say is this. As a movie should be multiple things, multiple pieces. That creates a movie. A movie isn't just one scene. This movie feels like one scene. It feels like one long scene. And you know what's funny? When this movie started, I thought I was gonna love it. I thought I was gonna be like, oh, this is a great story. But it's not really a story. It's one scene. And if you've read the Bible, or if you know any stories about the Bible, you know that this is a nice chunk. This is in the Bible. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's so much more to the Bible. And since I grew up in Sunday school and all this stuff, and even knowing things that I didn't even want to know about, I just programmed and put it in my brain, so I know so much stuff. But the point I'm trying to say is, and I remember growing up watching VeggieTales. That's the one I think if anything, even though I don't go to church as much as I used to, VeggieTales, I love VeggieTales. I love VeggieTales so much I could watch it right now. VeggieTales told the Bible stories in very fun and creative ways, and I remember as a child watching it, and I would watch VeggieTales right now. VeggieTales could make a Christian out of me, I tell you. I'm serious. Like certain things, like think about it, like The Chosen. I'm sure there's been a lot of people, maybe some atheists who sat down with their girlfriend or something and watched The Chosen and be like, oh, maybe I might go to church. Maybe I will be a little more spiritual. I like this show. Certain mediums have the power. That's the power of film and media. It has the power to inspire us. And VeggieTales inspired me. And I still think about VeggieTales when I'm talking about this. I'm like, wow, VeggieTales makes me want to go to church. VeggieTales makes me want to go to Sunday school. That's how good VeggieTales is. But this movie is the opposite. I feel like a Christian could watch this movie and become an atheist. I said it. That's how I feel. Because this movie, or someone could watch this movie and become a Christian. It goes both ways. But what I'm trying to say is they tell such a small, minute, it's not small, minute, but they tell the Bible is so big. I feel like Mel Gibson is such a good director. What he should have done is pick and choose pieces of the Bible, pieces of the story of Jesus that he really likes. Because here's the thing, me going in as someone who maybe was like, imagine if I never knew anything about the Bible at all, and I'm just sitting down to watch this movie, and people say, oh, this is a movie about it's about Jesus, it's about God's son. This movie's not about God's son. It's about God's son getting beat. And that's all you get. There's information and there's layers and little small pieces of information and flashbacks, but as far as a story, it's not really a story. Like what Mel Gibson needed to do was find find parts of the Bible that he likes. He could have divided the film to maybe some small chapters. He could have even let the whipping, he could have had the torture and all of that stuff. He could have had that in there too, but he could have made that maybe 30 minutes of the film, not an hour. Not an hour and 30 minutes. He could have put like maybe 30 minutes of it, you know, because and when you watch, like I said, when you watch a movie, every scene is supposed to give you new information. If it's not giving you new information, then that's how sometimes people say, oh, that movie wasn't that good. Or you feel a certain way when you watch a film because the movie gave you the same information over and over, so you weren't able to like really jump into the film. So that's how I feel about this. And I really didn't think this review was going to make me feel this way. I thought I was gonna love the movie. I don't know why I thought I was gonna love the movie, because I remember just knowing it's a great movie, a great Christian movie. But in my opinion, as an adult watching it, I will not recommend this to Christians. I would say watch The Chosen if you want, but that's fully fleshed. That's a TV show. Or I would even say watch the movie Risen. If anyone has ever seen the movie Risen, that takes place a little bit after, like pretty much the day after he gets out, and it's basically about the commotion of all the people trying to figure out where did he go and different things like that. I like that story. But the point I'm trying to make is this. As far as the story about God's son, I don't think this is a good movie. If you just want to watch it. But I wouldn't. I just feel like, because I know so many people who watch this during Easter. So I said, let me just watch it because I've seen it so long. I have the memories of people talking about it. So to me, this is not a great Christian movie. I would say watch VeggieTales, in my opinion. Watch VeggieTales. I grew up watching VeggieTales, and they give more stories about the Bible in way better ways. Watch VeggieTales. And then also, what do I need to say about this? I'm just trying to end on a good note. I just want to go somewhere with this. I just feel like like I said, there's so much stories in the Bible. He could have told a couple of different portions, maybe different chapters, and then put in the story, put in Judas betray him, and he could have did those stuff very brilliantly the way he did. And then also the people in this film, you know, the people in the town, they wanted the blood. You know, the commander, he was like, you know, this is enough. And then they're like, no, they want it. They want to crucify him. And it's just like, I'm sure I need to watch some behind the scenes, but I'm done. I don't even want to see any more of this movie. But the point I'm trying to make is, I'm sure Jim Caviezel, the actor who played Jesus, I'm sure he got hurt. There's no way he didn't get hurt for real. There's no way they didn't slow down fast enough and he got hit. Even though they're using rubber or whatever they was using to be him for the behind the scenes, I'm sure he got hurt. There's no way. Like, I'm watching. I didn't even really want to watch some of the scenes, but I made myself watch it because as a kid, I didn't really watch it. I wasn't really allowed to watch it. I just remember pieces of it. Now as an adult, I'm like watching it. And I'm like, I have to watch this. I want to give a good review. So I watched it all with my eyes like this. And I'm like, I'm not watching it again. But if Mel Gibson wanted to put the point across, like, you know, feel the sacrifice, he did great with that point. But as far as a film, an overall film about the story of God's son, I don't think this movie is good at all. You miss so much. There's so much you could have told. There's so much stuff you could have told. There's so much more pieces you could have put in there besides focusing so heavily on his downfall, you know? But I don't want to make this too long, but it's already too long. I didn't expect to talk about this that long, but that's what it did. So, stay your Notre Dame, spread love and light. And how are we going to sign off? How should we sign off? I think the only natural way to sign off after this movie... No, I'm not going to do it. How should we sign off? You know what? Screw it. That's what this movie did. Let's sign off with a slash.